Simba's paws sank slightly into the scorched earth as he stood at the edge of the plains. The horizon glowing faintly with the heat of the underground fire that had awakened. The sun had barely risen, yet the air shimmered as though the world itself was on the brink of something monumental. Every instinct he had learned from Mufasa and from the long years of his reign pulsed inside him. The circle of life had been disrupted, and only he could restore its balance. Rafiki's words echoed in his mind. The fire beneath the world stretches. The past claws at its cage. Simba tightened his jaw, letting the memory of his father's guidance anchor him. He had walked many paths, faced many threats, but this was different. Kiongozi was not just a lion of flesh and blood. He was a spirit bound in fury, ancient ambition, and a desire to consume everything in his path. Simba began walking across the plains toward the place where the fire seemed strongest. Every step carried weight. The grasses shimmered unnaturally as he passed, bending and twisting as though alive, guiding him toward the source. He could feel the vibrations beneath the ground, the deep, slow breaths of something immense, something old, something angry. Zazu hovered nearby, wings beating rapidly. "Sire, this is most unwise. The fire is growing. Even a king as strong as you." Simba cut him off gently. "Zazu, now is not the time for fear. Now is the time for action. Stay close and trust me." The path led him to a deep canyon that had not existed in his memory. Rocks jutted from the ground like teeth, and the air shimmered with heat. The carved symbols he had seen in the gorge glowed faintly along the canyon walls, pulsing with a rhythm that felt almost alive. The carvings told a story of kings long forgotten, of battles fought and victories won, of curses sealed and destinies forged. Simba stepped carefully, following the symbols, his senses heightened. Every shadow seemed to shift with a life of its own. Every gust of wind whispered warnings of ancient power. Then he saw a massive fissure in the earth, glowing with molten light from below. It was not just fire. It was a doorway. A deep rumble echoed from the fissure. Simba's mane lifted with the vibration, his muscles tensing. "Kiongozi," he muttered. "It begins." From the depths of the fissure, a figure began to emerge. The form was massive, larger than any lion Simba had ever seen. Flames licked the edges of its body, forming a mane that glowed like molten gold. Its eyes burned with red fury, and the air around it hissed as the heat expanded. Simba's roar echoed in response, firm and steady. "I am Simba, King of the Pride Lands. Your return will not go unchallenged." The figure paused, its head tilting slightly, as though amused. "Simba," it rumbled, voice shaking the ground. "The child of Mufasa, you carry the courage of the past, yet do you have the heart to face the fire that awakens all old wrongs?" Simba's claws dug into the scorched earth. "I do not fear the past. I fear only failure. I will not let the Pride Lands fall to darkness." The spirit of Kiongozi stepped fully from the fissure, its form towering over Simba, radiating power. The fire around it flickered like living flames, shaping itself into ancient battle scenes that shimmered in the air. Kings clashing with teeth and claws, spirits locked in struggle for dominion. Simba's eyes widened. These were echoes of history, warnings of what could come if Kiongozi succeeded. Rafiki's voice rang in Simba's memory. The fire that awakens the past can also illuminate the path forward. Simba closed his eyes briefly, drawing deep from within himself. Felt Mufasa's presence, faint but strong, a warmth that anchored him. "Father," he whispered, "guide me. Give me strength." The ground beneath Kiongozi cracked with a deep, resonant growl. The spirit's roar filled the canyon, shaking loose stones and sending dust into the air. Simba braced himself, then leapt forward, launching a counterattack not just with claws, but with the force of his heart. The battle began in full force. Claws met flame, roars met roars, each collision sending shockwaves across the land. Simba felt the heat of Kiongosi's power, a pressure that threatened to crush him, yet he pressed on. Every memory of Mufasa, every lesson of leadership, every step he had taken as king fueled his strength. He could not falter. Kiongosi's voice thundered over the clash. You cannot stop what was never meant to be contained. The kings of old tried, and their bones rest as witnesses. Simba answered not with words, but with determination. His paws struck with precision, his roars with authority. The glowing symbols in the canyon responded to him, pulsing brighter as though lending him power. The land itself seemed to recognize him as king, aligning with him against the ancient threat. But Kiongozi was relentless. He shifted forms, flowing like fire, striking with a speed and fury that challenged even Simba's reflexes. Sparks flew with every collision, scorching the earth and sending plumes of heat into the air. Simba realized that brute force alone would not win this battle. He needed strategy, wisdom, and the strength to embrace the past rather than fight it blindly. Remembering Rafiki's words, Simba changed tactics. He leapt back, retreating to a cluster of carved symbols etched into the canyon floor. The ancient markings glowed under his paws, resonating with his heartbeat. Close. Simba channeled his courage, his memory of Mufasa, and the unity of the pride lands into a single, powerful roar that echoed across the canyon. The canyon shook violently. Kiongozi faltered for the first time, flames wavering. Simba opened his eyes, sensing the path forward. The fire beneath the land had a rhythm, a pulse that could be harnessed nor destroyed. The circle of life was not broken, only challenged. Simba focused, reaching deeper into the energy, letting it flow through him. His roar harmonized with the glowing symbols, with the land itself, with the spirit of Mufasa. Flames and energy surged, encasing Kiongozi in a cage of light and power. The spirit roared in fury, thrashing, but the golden light pressed in, restraining him. You cannot conquer what is bound by the circle. Simba shouted, "You are nothing without it." For a moment, time seemed to stop. The fire's roar dimmed, the ground stilled, and the symbols glowed brighter than ever. Kiongosi's eyes burned with rage, but he was restrained. The ancient king realized that while power could awaken the past, it was the unity, courage, and heart of the living king that determined the future. Simba took a deep breath, exhaustion burning through him, yet he stood tall. The land calmed, the heat receded. Kiongozi's form was locked, contained within the golden symbols. The canyon was silent, save for Simba's heavy breathing and the faint hum of energy returning to the earth. Simba answered not with words but with determination. His paws struck with precision, his roars with authority. The glowing symbols in the canyon responded to him, pulsing brighter as though lending him power. The land itself seemed to recognize him as king, aligning with him against the ancient threat. But Kiongozi was relentless. He shifted forms, flowing like fire, striking with a speed and fury that challenged even Simba's reflexes. Sparks flew with every collision, scorching the earth and sending plumes of heat into the air. Simba realized that brute force alone would not win this battle. He needed strategy, wisdom, and the strength to embrace the past, rather than fight it blindly. Remembering Rafiki's words, Simba changed tactics. He leapt back, retreating to a cluster of carved symbols etched into the canyon floor. The ancient markings glowed under his paws, resonating with his heartbeat. Closing his eyes, Simba channeled his courage, his memory of Mufasa, and the unity of the Pride Lands into a single, powerful roar that echoed across the canyon. The canyon shook violently. Kiongozi faltered for the first time, flames wavering. Simba opened his eyes, sensing the path forward. The fire beneath the land had a rhythm, a pulse that could be harnessed, not destroyed. The circle of life was not broken, only challenged. Simba focused, reaching deeper into the energy, letting it flow through him. His roar harmonized with the glowing symbols, writ, with the land itself, with the spirit of Mufasa. Flames and energy surged, encasing Kiongozi in a cage of light and power. The spirit roared in fury, thrashing, but the golden light pressed in, restraining him. "You cannot conquer what is bound by the circle," Simba shouted. "You are nothing without it." For a moment, time seemed to stop. The fire's roar dimmed, the ground stilled, and the symbols glowed brighter than ever. Kiongozi's eyes burned with rage, but he was restrained. The ancient king realized that while power could awaken the past, it was the unity, courage, and heart of the living king that determined the future. Simba took a deep breath, exhaustion burning through him, yet he stood tall, thrill and calmed. The heat receded, and Kiongozi's form was locked, contained within the golden symbols. The canyon was silent, save for Simba's heavy breathing and the faint hum of energy returning to the earth. Rafiki appeared from above, his staff glowing faintly. "You have done it, Simba. The past will not claim the Pride Lands today. But remember, the fire sleeps, not forever." Simba lowered his head, letting the weight of the victory sink in. He had faced the ancient king, faced the fire that awakened the past, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more connected to the land than ever. The horizon glowed softly as the first real light of day spread across the Pride Lands. Simba raised his head, feeling Mufasa's presence once more. The Pride Lands are safe. For now, but deep within the earth, beneath layers of stone and fire. Kiongozi's spirit still glimmered faintly, waiting for the day it could rise again. And Simba knew that as long as the circle of life endured, he would be ready to face whatever came next. Simba turned back toward Pride Rock, too, the weight of a king's responsibility, heavy yet steady upon his shoulders. The fire had awakened, the past had spoken, and the present had been secured. Now, the future awaited bright, uncertain, and full of promise. The golden light of the rising sun touched his mane, and Simba knew that no matter what darkness lay ahead, the heart of a king would always guide the Pride Lands. The earth remained warm beneath Simba's paws as he walked away from the canyon, but the heat no longer burned with rage. It pulsed instead, steady and controlled, like a heart returning to its natural rhythm. The battle with Kiongozi had ended, yet Simba knew in his bones that the story was far from over. Ancient power never vanished. Completely it waited, watched, and remembered as he climbed the familiar path toward Pride Rock. The wind shifted. It carried with it a presence he had not felt since the confrontation began. Strong, calm, familiar. "Simba." The voice rolled through the air like distant thunder softened by kindness. Simba stopped. Slowly, he lifted his gaze toward the clouds, gathering above Pride Rock. There, formed by light and shadow, stood Mufasa, Simba's breath-caught father. Mufasa's golden eyes glowed with pride, yet there was a gravity in his expression that made Simba straighten instinctively. "You faced the fire bravely," Mufasa said. "But courage alone will not protect the circle now." Simba swallowed. Kiongozi is sealed again. The land is calm. "For now," Mufasa replied. "But you felt it, didn't you?" Thor, the fire did not awaken on its own. Simba nodded slowly. "Someone helped him." Mufasa's mane rippled like a living flame. "Yes, a force that feeds on forgotten power. One that existed even before Kiongozi." The words struck Simba harder than any physical blow. Before him, Mufasa's image dimmed slightly. The Golden Kings were not just rulers. Simba, they were guardians of balance. And balance always attracts those who wish to control it. The clouds shifted violently, and for a moment Simba saw Vision's vast lands beyond the Pride Lands. Scorched plains, towering stone structures carved with the same symbols as the canyon. Lions he did not recognize stood in circles of fire, their eyes glowing with authority and fear. Long ago, Mufasa continued, the Golden Kings made a choice. They buried knowledge alongside power. They believed forgetting was safer than remembering. Simba clenched his jaw. They were wrong. Yes, Mufasa said softly, because forgetting creates hunger, and hunger creates monsters. The vision faded. The sky cleared. Simba felt the weight of realization settle heavily on his shoulders. Then what must I do? Mufasa stepped closer, his presence warming Simba's spirit. You must unite what was broken. The past cannot remain buried forever. The Golden Kings must be remembered not as gods, but as warnings. Before Simba could respond, Mufasa's image began to fade. You will not walk this path alone, he said. Kiara's destiny is already moving. When the time comes, trust her heart. Father! Wait. Simba reached out, but the vision dissolved into the sky. Silence returned. Simba stood there for a long moment, then turned toward Pride Rock with renewed purpose. The fire had awakened the past, but the future would be shaped by what he chose to reveal, not hide. As Simba entered the Pride Lands, the pride gathered instinctively. Nala approached first, searching his face. You're hurt. Simba shook his head. Not where it matters. Rafiki emerged from the shadows, eyes sharp and knowing. You saw him, the old mandrill said. Yes, Simba replied, and he showed me more than I wanted to know. Rafiki tapped his staff against the stone. Good! Truth is uncomfortable, but it keeps the circle alive. Simba looked out over his kingdom, the cubs playing, the elders resting, the hunters returning. We need to prepare, he said. Not for war. For knowledge. Rafiki smiled faintly. Then it is time. For what? To open the Archive of Kings. Simba turned sharply. That place is sealed. Rafiki nodded. So was Kiongozi. The words lingered heavily between them. Deep beneath the Pride Lands, far deeper than the chamber where Kiongozi had been sealed, something stirred. Stone cracked. A pulse of shadow rippled outward, unseen, unfeltexed by one presence far beyond the borders of Simba's kingdom. In a land of blackened earth and red skies, a lion with scarred gold fur lifted his head. Hers eyes burned not with fire, but with intelligence. So, he murmured, a slow, dangerous smile forming. The king remembers. The shadows curled around him like obedient servants. The Golden Kings will rise, he said softly. And this time, they will kneel.